Disco X on the line, just as I suspected. No one really gets over me. I'm unaffected. Why would you try to ever put me second? You're just another groupie to me. No, I'm out here single, and I need some real. Now I got standards, give a fuck how you feel. I'm out here single, tell me what's the deal. Now I got standards, give a fuck how you feel.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday night. Excited to have you with us right here on the Betting News Network. Welcome to your afternoon Betspresso. That is Mr. Danny Burke, looking very fresh and so clean today. That's V Sauce, back in the Calgary land. My name's Sweatpants Jesus. Stoked to have you guys here, ready to finish off your Monday. Last Betspresso of 2025, lads. Can't believe it. I know, Sauce Man. I know. I knew that would hit you hard. We're excited you guys are spending it with us. Last few days of 2025 as the New Year's is right around the corner. Brought to you by our sponsors at Bet Online. We got a big day in front of us today, lads. We're going to talk all about Monday Night Football. Last game of Week 17 of the NFL season before we go into the last week of the season. Big slate of hoops tonight. Mr. Danny Burke has 7 unders for you guys to give. Although I did notice, Danny, that you bet a couple overs over the weekend. I saw some overs on the card. So that was nice to see. Diversifying the portfolio. I was like, damn, did Danny get abducted for a minute? I don't know what happened.
And naturally, it was like my worst performance of the year. I gave out half overs, and I did feel great about them. But yeah, that's the volatility of what the NBA can be from time to time. But yeah, I got like 4 or 5 unders today. No, I got 1 over and the rest are under. So we're kind of back to what we know. So I'm excited for tonight's hoops. Obviously the NFL game, but tonight's game could be whatever, so I am pumped for basketball.
Seems like Danny got the eggnog get to him a little bit, and a lot more overs made their way onto the card over the holidays.
And then when the hand tips a little more, then you're like, yeah, Anthony Edwards totally go over the line for sure. 100%.
All that pessimism goes out the window, and it's overs.
Yep.
Absolutely. Danny just likes winning money, and he's been cooking with you guys. We appreciate all you guys hanging out with us to kick off your Monday. As you said, big Monday Night Football game tonight we're going to discuss. We talked about some of it on Any Given Wager earlier. Hope you guys tapped in with us a little earlier today on the network, but we're going to dive in. What we're going to do first is play our new favorite game. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly from a really spectacular Week 17 in the NFL season. We saw lots of teams punch their ticket to winning a division. We saw lots of teams punch their ticket to the postseason. We saw some teams just fuck around and find out and just still have to go play next week. We shall see what we got rolling through with you guys. Chat, let us know what's your good, what's your bad, and what's your ugly going into from what you saw in the NFL Week 17. And just start the show with some vibes. I think Danny is as well. Danny and I both need a massive performance from Puka Nacua tonight. Like, we both just need the biggest night of all nights from Puka for our fantasy championship. Chat, let us know if you guys are in a fantasy championship, if you need somebody to show out tonight, if you've made it to this point. But as we sit right now, lads, I said it earlier. I know Sauceman knows from seeing our league, and Danny needs it. I need it. Please be great, Puka. That's all we're needing.
Hey,
yeah,
man,
I'm in a little bit more fortunate spot than SPJ. SPJ needs a few things to happen, and it could easily happen. I think you're in a great spot in 2 out of the 3 of what you need, which is not a great night from Bijan, a great night from Puka. I think Stafford's going to hurt you a bit, but having that correlation with Puka at least is nice. I just need about 1 catch from Puka, and then I bring home the Betting News Fantasy Football Championship in my rookie campaign. So, we'll hope we can get that through against Kate. She's got no one else left, and I'm down a point, and I got Puka. So barring something crazy, could be the winner tonight.
I mean, yeah, I kind of he's looking for that receiving title too. I think he needs 112 yards next week. Could get funky too with JSN still probably playing a very much like meaningful game in week 18. It might be time to Puka just have one of those 200-yard games and 20 like maybe 14, 15 reception type vibes.
Please, I just need a lot of the Puka performances of the shoulders up and scoring touchdowns. And I don't care if Puka and Stafford cancel each other out. That's fine. It's just been Bijan needs to just be pedestrian, which we'll see. All right, boys, let's do good, bad, and the ugly, and then let's jump into this game tonight. We'll kind of keep it short and sweet because I got to get out of here at the end of the show to fly home. I got to leave Florida, unfortunately. But we'll do. I know. I got my tan on. I'm fine.
I mean, those beers hit hard, though. You know what I mean?
The beach beers hit just as hard, my man. We'll cook the parlay at the end of the show too. Had a great week over the last 10 days. Adding a few more dollars to the top pot, though, is going to be fun. So let's cook a parlay. We'll cook some stuff. We'll pull some stuff from the game in the gridiron tonight, and then obviously, as Danny said, the fun and NBA slate tonight we got in front of us there as well. All right, boys. Good, bad, ugly. Sauce Man, I'll let you lead us off. Let's start with the good. Let's start with some positivity, and then we'll dive down into the depths of the rabbit hole. Who was your good this week?
I'm going to say it because I think Gerald's not in chat, so hopefully he's not, and neither is Adam. But the Patriots are good. I get it. The schedule hasn't been the best, but Drake May just looks fantastic every single week. And I get it. He beat some of these teams he's beaten up on are bad, but he's making elite throws. He is doing things that other QBs are not doing. He has shown a propensity to go deep. He has a deep ball. He's more than happy to use his tight ends. And his the way he manages the game at the line of scrimmage is something that I think is not talked about enough, especially with some young quarterbacks. And I'm not talking about guys that have been in the league for a few years and now just starting. Drake May's a second-year quarterback, first full year running an NFL offense, and he looks like a vet at the line of scrimmage, making changes, calling audibles, doing whatever he needs to do. They're good. That's it. I'm not going to glaze just in case Gerald pops in, so that's it.
It really is remarkable what I mean, you watch him play a game of football and you're just waiting for an incompletion. Like it would just be terrible to have to go against this offense. And perhaps our teams will go against them if they make it all the way to the Super Bowl and the Patriots are there. But I could not, stomach just watching my defense try to stop. It's like every throw that he's launching out there, you're like, yeah, someone's open. It's going to be a first down. You're just praying he throws it before the sticks and you even have some sort of chance. I mean, 19-21, I don't care that it was against the lowly Jets. That is insane to do that with 5 touchdowns in any game. It's impressive, man.
It's getting to the point where if you had to choose right now between the Broncos and the Patriots as the number one seeds, which will end up probably being the Broncos, especially since news came out that Jim Harbaugh said that Justin Herbert is probably not going to start for the Chargers this week against the Broncos. So it's looking like that the Broncos are going to be the number one seed. Give me the Pats. Give me the Pats. I just think that they're a better overall team. So, yeah, that's a good one, Sauce Man. And, yeah, we'll move past it just in case any of our other fellow Patriots are in the chat /looming.
Adam's spent enough time talking about them this morning.
Yeah, Adam's going to randomly pop in now and be like, "Oh, you called." All right, DB, what's your good this week, man?
All right, I'm taking a little bit of a different route, not with a good team overall, but a team that's been playing good as of late, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, they scored 45 against the Dolphins 2 weeks ago, won 45-21, put up 37 against the Cardinals, held them to just 14 points. One was a garbage time touchdown. Now, yes, it's against 2 terrible teams in Miami and Arizona, but it's just this team, when they get their you-know-what together, they can compete with anybody. It's the same story that we witnessed last year. Burrow threw for 305, 2 touchdowns. Chase Brown is finally looking like the running back. I drafted him on some of my fantasy teams to be the whole season, but unfortunately too little too late for a lot of people who did pick him up. And more importantly, what's actually impressive too is their defense. You look at a lot of their metrics, they've completely turned things around in the second half of the season. Again, that could be more of a byproduct of their schedule, but this defense was far and away the worst in the NFL, and they're slowly but surely making strides on that side of the ball, which at the very least may give them some kind of optimism heading into next year. But again, this is, in the grand scheme of things, this is literally just a definition of insanity from last season to now this year with this group. So perhaps we'll see it 3 times in a row, but still got to give them their flowers. They've been playing good the past couple of weeks.
Man, it makes me annoyed by the fact that I still think that they are the best team in the AFC North, which is great. And they don't even get to play for the championship, which we'll see what happens on Sunday night against the Ravens and the Steelers, which neither one of those teams, I think, have any type of chance to go into the playoffs and do anything. Whereas at this point, if you took Joe Burrow in that offense, even with the defense, when they've been playing better, like you said, they could go win a playoff game right now, I think.
We need the committee to do the right thing and flex the Saints and the Bengals into the postseason.
Yeah, no kidding.
Nay, the Saints, man. Shout out the Saints. Yeah. All right, my good is Brock Purdy and his Dougie, a.k.a. the Niners, man. The San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy gets a shout out because of the Dougie, but also he's just been playing incredible football since returning from that turf toe injury this season. Gone are the days where people were talking that Mac Jones might have been the better choice for this team, just because Brock Purdy has been incredible. I mean, that throw last night where he danced around in the pocket and then danced around to the side and kind of wooed those two dudes and then just tossed it to Juszczyk right on the sideline was amazing. And this team has a chance to, which we talked about earlier, but going into this weekend, they have a chance to be the number 1 overall seed in the conference. Also, the crazy thing too, the Super Bowl is played in Santa Clara as well. So they could literally not have to leave their home state. They ain't got to get out of their own bed for January through the first week of February if they are the number 1 overall seed, if they make it all the way to the Super Bowl. So Kyle Shanahan, we didn't talk about this earlier, Danny, on Any Given Wager because we have been talking some futures, but Kyle Shanahan also is now the favorite for the Coach of the Year.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Nuts. Crazy odds that shifted towards Shanahan. I mean, it makes sense. He's been great. They've been playing spectacularly. They've been playing also really great football despite 2 all-pro level players on defense missing for half of the season for Warner and most of the season for Bosa. But then you have on the offensive side, I mean, they haven't had a single game, I don't think, since maybe the beginning of the season where all of their starting players have played on the offensive side of the football. So to be able to produce at such a high level, you have incredible talent, of course, but like they've been incredible to watch, fun to watch as well. And that's been the deal with Kyle Shanahan's offense and that system for a while is that when it's working correctly, it's just poetry in motion. So shout out the Niners. They're very good right now. And yes, I do quite enjoy watching Brock Purdy, Dougie a little bit.
The Kyle Shanahan thing, really quick, V, I just want to say, and I'll let you go, it was just that he's kind of like LeBron with the MVP, where in his prime, where it's like, yeah, he's the most valuable player every year, but they're not going to give it to him each season. That's how I feel about Shanahan. Like, he's arguably the best coach in football every single season, but with that comes the expectation. So it's like, once you've set that bar, it's so hard to continue to overcome it. And I just think based on the crop of this year's candidates, it's not really worth, especially now, it's not worth taking a play on Shanahan. But I also don't think he wins this award just because of what Liam Cohen's doing, what Vrabel's doing. Ben Johnson's not going to win it after losing yesterday, unfortunately. So RIP my 14-1 ticket. But based on what these new coaches are doing, and even with someone like Sam Darnold as their quarterback and Mike McDaniel, I think that they have a lot better of an argument. Though, again, I still think Shanahan's the best. But given the context of this season, I don't think he's going to win the award.
I kind of agree with you, Danny, and I was feeling the same way. But, dude, the way that the Niners have missed players this year, Ricky Pearsall missed a majority of the year, 4 All-Pros out yesterday. Brandon Ayuk hasn't even played a single snap, and that contract is still getting paid out. It's just been unreal. We were sitting here looking at Mac Jones like he should start over Brock Purdy, and then Brock Purdy came back and was like, wait, only one of us has an arm, and this is what it does. And I agree. Vrabel's been fantastic. Liam Cohen, I would say maybe would be my favorite just because of how good they have been and how much resolve they showed in that division, coming back from behind and now taking that division. But, dude, to win these games with this many players out in the NFL, there's something to be said about the coach. And these guys are always fucking prepared.
Every time. And it was on full display last night. We've actually watched this team quite a bit over the last month as they've been on prime time a few times, and they have not disappointed whatsoever. So shout out the Niners. Chat, drop what your goods are as we keep rolling through the list. I'm going to go next on the bad boys because I got an interesting take for you guys. Okay. And I know we could probably spend a large portion of the show talking about this take, but my bad is Sean McDermott is a bozo.
Ooh.
An absolute bozo. Now, I know that it's become very sexy that if you are going to go down and tie the football game at the very last second, that it's sexy to go for 2 to win the game at that moment, to not give the other team an opportunity to rebuttal in overtime. And I understand in some situations that, yes, that does make sense. If you're on the road, if maybe your team's tired, maybe you think you have an advantage, you want to just go win it in one play and you just get it over with at that moment. In that Eagles game yesterday, the Eagles offense could not, they could not move the football at all in the second half. Now, the Bills offense didn't look spectacular, and I understand, given Josh, you want your best player to make one play and win you the game, and I get it. And he missed the throw. Fair enough. I just thought that it was a disservice that he did to his football team. I have no doubt, if I was a Bills fan, going into overtime, that I would feel very comfortable with the momentum you have, especially with the rule change. You're going to get the ball regardless.
Right.
So all you got to do is just keep kicking the offense's ass, which the Eagles were doing nothing offensively, and then get the ball back and go win the game. It just felt, I just hate, and I more often than not think that coaches should just go to overtime anyway, because I just hate the game coming down to one play after all of that. And I know that sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it doesn't, but I always lean on the side of just go to overtime and win it in overtime. But I just thought yesterday was particularly a terrible decision. Just kick the. I know the guy just missed the other extra point, so maybe they were concerned about that. But go kick the extra point, go to overtime, and allow your team to go win the game in overtime. I just thought it was a really bad decision, and I did not like how it played out. And obviously, it's retroactive because they didn't get it, and so you can bitch about it now. But I just think Sean McDermott was a huge bojo for that decision.
I completely agree. And you're at home in front of your home crowd. The offense has not moved the ball. Jalen Hurts is 0 for 7 for the second time in the second half of a game. And I don't want to sit here and bring up stuff that's going to hurt me. But Ben Johnson did this exact same thing 2 weeks ago in a decision where he kicked the field goal because his offense was marching after 3 quarters of not doing nothing. 16 points in the fourth quarter at home. And he's like, my offense is moving the ball. They can't stop them. So we're going to go to overtime and we're going to win this game. And that's exactly what they did. I don't get it. I agree with you, SPJ. That's honestly one of the things that Sean McDermott's always been known to do is make boneheaded decisions and to pigeonhole himself into one thing. It's only analytics, or it's, you know what I mean?
It's only gut. It's either one or the other. And it's you have to have a feel for when it's just the right moment. And he just doesn't have that thing. Yeah. And I felt like yesterday was I want to hear your argument though, Danny, if you disagree, because I know you're a little more on the side of go win the game with this 2 extra. We've talked about this before. Do you agree that yesterday was the right choice, or do you think you lean with me and think that they should have gone to OT?
No, it's hilarious because obviously the side of Badgley missing the extra point changed everything. And I'm sure that was a little part of why they didn't go, or why they didn't try to obviously, tie it up again. But as someone who personally wanted the Bills to win because I wanted to use them in Survivor the following week, and now they may rest their starters, I was actually hoping that they were going to go for overtime as well. And you're right. More often than not, I'm a proponent of you go for 2 in that situation, especially at home when you've dug yourself out of such a deep hole, you're exhausted so much. End it while you can, not then go to overtime where usually underdogs and unders, they say go to die. I know the Bills were a slight favorite in that game, but just in that mentality, usually it doesn't fare well. But I agree with you guys, and seldom do I think this way of kicking the extra point, but I thought that was a situation where they should have, because there was so much at stake for them as well with positioning and seeding. And again, like you guys already mentioned, just knowing the momentum had flipped, I wasn't looking at that game like, wow, the Bills did so much to come back. It was like, no, it was finally they came out and started playing the way they should have the entire game. And their defense was great, had the crowd behind them. And the most important thing you said too, you get the second chance if you don't get the ball first. Yeah, I agree. I wish they would have went for overtime. It was a good play. It was a bad throw. And I still think you can make the argument, even if they did complete that kicking the extra point to go to overtime wouldn't have been a bad call. So one of the rare times I agree with going to overtime would have been the move.
Yeah. It's just like, and I just don't understand it with the implications on the line. Like you said, this was not just one individual game. This was about a lot of your season coming down to a snap, a play in the rain. And as Chat said, B-Dot said it too, Josh Allen was pretty pedestrian yesterday. He made some bad throws. He was not on top of his game. And I know that he's had to put that cape on a bunch, and he almost did in that situation. But I just thought it was a bad decision. And I think you guys all agree with me. And I think a lot of people on Twitter also responded by saying they agreed with me, but they might have been Bills Mafia pissed off fans. So we'll see. All right, Danny, what was your bad?
All right, my bad is the Detroit Lions turning the ball over 6 freaking times and losing 23-10 in a must-win spot against Max Brosmer, who completed just 9 passes for 51 freaking yards, no passing touchdowns, no interceptions. What a disgusting, sickening game. What a disgusting, sickening season for Detroit. This team may be doomed for the foreseeable future. Dan Campbell mentioned their window might be closed after last year. You lost both coordinators. I still believed in this team up until about like 3 to 4 weeks ago. But wow, I mean, this is just terrible. And you see players like David Montgomery voicing his frustrations on Instagram and not getting as many carries. And Jared Goff's only getting older and the division's only getting better. Just all around bad. I didn't even want to give him ugly because ugly I look at like, all right, you were ugly for a week, but bad to me is like you're really like you're just all around bad. So the kitty cats, no bueno.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no disagreeing there, man.
None
Also,
whatsoever. It looked bad. The offense looked bad. It looks clunky, and Jared Goff feels like Cinderella, but the clock struck midnight. You know what I mean? So
the pumpkin. Did you guys see? I saw a tweet of his contract for the next 3 years. It's expensive.
And Dan Campbell, ever since he took over, like, okay, sick game against the Commanders, put up 40 points, and then everything from there just went to absolute crap.
Fall apart. All right, that was a good one. V, who's your bad?
Man, I'm gonna say they were bad, but they were bad when they were supposed to be. The Raiders. The Raiders did their job and they lost the game, and I think they secured the number 1 overall pick in next year's draft. Whether that's going to be Mendoza or not, honestly, I have no clue. I couldn't tell you. But the Raiders need a QB. They have the number 1 overall pick. What they want to do with that pick obviously remains to be determined. But they were bad when they needed to be. Geno Smith pulled through for them for the first time this year. Maybe exactly in the same way he'd been doing it all year, but this is the first time that I think Raider fans were sitting there cheering for Geno Smith. So, yeah, good on him. He secured the pick. They did their job, and I'm looking forward to see what happens next year. You've got a good receiving core. You've got Max Crosby if he's willing to come back. But, yeah, shout out the Raiders for being bad.
I couldn't help but watch every single week, and yesterday was more of an indictment on it, SPJ. We've talked about this team plenty. And it's a little bit of prisoner of the moment, but I think Geno Smith and this Raiders team might go down generationally as one of the worst football teams I've ever seen in my life. I get it. They have 2 wins. One came against your Titans and one somehow came against the Patriots. Granted, it was the beginning of the year. The Bears barely beat the Raiders on a blocked field goal attempt, but still this team just felt like the grossest watch on a week-to-week basis. And I like, why does Geno want to be out there? It's half I feel bad for the guy and half it's like, just take him out of the game. It's the Kenny Pickett cannot be worse. It's just been so terrible to watch it. I'm glad we only have 1 more week of it.
It's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the offseason with this team because, you have the teams that you feel like could, like we talked about with the Saints. I mean, I feel this way about my Titans now with it playing better going into the end of the year. Feel like you got your guy at quarterback. You got some momentum going into the offseason. You maybe got some money to spend. The Raiders, on the other hand, have a bunch of guys that are older, some disgruntled stars. They got a bunch of money tied into guys that are not going to get them to the promised land. They have a coach who's 100 years old. And yes, they're in Vegas. Yes, they have a bunch of a fun new stadium. But besides that, this is a tough situation for the Raiders. But as you said, V, they did their job and they were bad. So good job, the Raiders.
Max Crosby, future Bear. V knows it. It's coming, baby.
It's not coming. It's not fucking coming.
Now, Max, come in. You want to come play next to Jeffrey Simmons in Tennessee. Nice income state tax situations in Tennessee. I'm just saying.
I know Green Bay is cold, Max. I know it's cold.
Oh man. All right, Sauce Man, take us home. What's your ugly this week, dude?
Man, I was gonna talk about the Steelers, but we've talked about them plenty. I want to sit here and get some shit off my chest about this ugly Giants team. It's same game, back-to-back years. You have a chance at the number 1 overall pick, and what do? You go out there and have the best game of your season. The last time they had a kick return for a touchdown was last year in this very same scenario, boys. It's almost like it's just fate for them to be bad and to continuously just be semi-bad. I understand maybe they don't need a QB, but now reports are coming out that everything is under the scope and everything is under, even including Jackson Dart. So what are we doing here? What does Joe Shen have on the Mara family that allows him to keep his job, and while everybody else is being looked at like they aren't doing their job. Joe Shan is the same GM that drafted, was it a kicker in the first or second round a couple years ago? This is the same GM that didn't want to draft Jackson Dart. At this point, I'm at a loss for words for what's going on over there. You cleared house. You got rid of the coach that made your QB look fantastic. And I'm not going to say I didn't think he needed to go. I think it was his time. But what are we still doing here? What are we still doing here? And why are reports coming out that even the QB that has helped you win games, that just scored 2 touchdowns, is also being looked at? Are we okay? Giants, like, are we okay over there? I don't understand what's going on anymore, because I think playing in the same stadium as the Jets has rubbed off on them a little bit too long, and now both franchises are headed downward in downward spirals. So yeah.
I want to give a shout out to the G-Man, cashing the underwin total for me. Appreciate it, fellas. Along with the Minnesota Vikings, the only 2 I had, both unders came through. You know what's funny though? I might be in the minority here, but I actually disagreed with them firing Brian Daboll, and I get why they did. But I think it's just such a stupid move to have Daboll, who's clearly a smart offensive guy. He could be in the ranks of like a Mike McDaniel, where it's like, all right, maybe not a leader of men, maybe a better play caller, but I also think just whoever would be the coach of the Giants would be in a terrible situation. But now you get a quarterback that looks competent and competitive and talented, and you let this guy draft him. And now you said, we look competitive, but we're losing. You got to get out of here. Sorry, buddy. Now we're going to hire someone in what may be one of the worst coaching cycles in who knows how long, to get a quarterback that already has injury issues, that they didn't draft, that may not have as much confidence in him as Daboll didn't knew what to do with him. Like, you're right. They do deserve the moniker of being ugly. I think it was stupid to fire him. Maybe they could have done it next year, but I thought you should have gave him another full season with him.
If you're going to clear house, man.
Right.
Clear house.
Well, I think it's one of the, as you said, and Fee said this the other day when we talked about this, like the connection, the quarterback head coach / quarterback offensive coordinator connection, when it works, you got to be really sure when you want to break that up, because it can really stunt the development of a player and also stunt the development of the franchise, which is probably what we're going to end up seeing. I mean, Dark's been good over the last few weeks, but like these games have been totally meaningless at this point. So, all right, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to make mine short and sweet for the ugly, and I'll let Danny take us home. The Steelers are terrible.
Thank you.
Like this team is just shambles, man. I had a feeling that they were going to end up shitting the bed somehow, and it makes sense. You guys all talked about it in the chat. They wanted the Steelers versus the Ravens on Sunday Night Football to decide the division. So Shedeur Sanders and company against the Browns did the job. But the Browns are terrible. The Browns are awful. Like the Titans beat the Browns, and like the fact that they couldn't even without DK Metcalf, even without TJ Watt, they should have won this football game. So we're at the point where they wouldn't have even needed to win this game, and it would not have gotten flexed to Sunday night. And now they got to deal with a runaway train of Derrick Henry in a game without DK Metcalf again, and they have to win. It's just, what an ugly loss. That was just ugly as it gets. And I don't want to watch. I'd much rather watch the Ravens in the playoff at this point versus the Steelers team. And I think
everybody's got to be rooting for the Baltimore Ravens unless you're a Steelers fan. I feel like
100%, man.
At this point, too, like you guys are playing a Browns team, not just like that is really bad, but down their 2 best players with the 2 rookies out, right? We had no I'm forgetting his name right now. Judkins, no Quinshon Judkins, obviously, because it's a broken leg last week. And then Harold Fannin Jr., he literally in this game sets a rookie receptions record for the Cleveland Browns, and at the same time has to leave the game after he scores that touchdown. They literally have no options. They had 2 interceptions of Shedeur. What are we doing? How do you lose that game?
Yeah, it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. So I had a feeling we all kind of agree that one was ugly. You kind of let it off, Sauce Man. So yeah, they were terrible. Danny, all right, take us home, man. What's your ugly?
The Green Bay Packers. I thought V was going to say them when he said I have to get something off my chest and vent. Well, here's your opportunity to do so, brother. Look, with Malik Willis playing quarterback, that's not the reason this is ugly. He was 18 of 21 for 288 yards and a touchdown, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns in his own sense, 60 rushing yards. He did more than enough of what you would expect from a backup quarterback. But how the hell is this Green Bay do? Well, you know how without Micah Parsons, but still, how are you letting Derrick Henry get 36 carries, 216 yards, 4 touchdowns against a backup quarterback. Wasn't a must-win game for Green Bay. It was a must-win game for Baltimore. But at home, to just get punished like that, especially on your defense that has been their identity really for a lot of these games. And when they have faltered, it has been due to the running game on the opposition. I think you would maybe agree, V. Like when you look at that Panthers game, they're able to run down their throats. The Bears certainly use that recipe against them, and it's worked to some degree, not as efficiently as like Baltimore and Carolina had it utilized to their benefit. But I would be concerned with this run defense if I was a Packers fan. Offensively, they'll be fine with Jordan Love back in the mix. And against the pass defense, they have their moments here and there. I don't really think one way or the other. But yeah, that run defense, V, has been concerning. And my goodness, it was highlighted even more so this past weekend.
Oh, yeah, it was absolutely terrible. Even the players talked about it afterwards. You had Javon Bullard come out and say, they came to play, we didn't. And that was, I think, what it was. We saw the week before that, they weren't that bad against the exact same Bears type of run-heavy game. They held Monangai and Swift both under 60 yards. They honestly stifled the run pretty well for 3 quarters up until that fourth. It's just it's a willingness. Rashawn Gary hasn't recorded a tackle in, I think, since week 9, or it's been about 9 weeks. And this is a guy who has 7.5 sacks through the first 7 games. This didn't change after Micah Parsons went down. It's been an ongoing kind of theme, and it's because of guys like that are on the defense continuing to play snaps, while a guy like Lucas Van Ness, he had his best game in that Ravens game, but obviously it was overshadowed by how bad everybody else has been. It's time for Haley to lock in with these guys, and it's time for this defense to absolutely lock in because those guys aren't coming back. We lost more guys. Devontae Wyatt's loss has honestly been the biggest, I think, reason we haven't been able to stop the run. He was playing like a top 10 defensive tackle before he went down, especially in the run game. But again, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses. They need to be better. It's next man up. Look at the Niners, right? Their pass rush needs to be better. The run defense needs to be better. And fucking Derrick Henry. Muted. Go to muted.
Oh, no.
Sorry, my family was talking. I didn't want you guys to hear. I told these guys earlier on Any Given Wager that whatever Derrick Henry's rushing yards line is for next week's game, I'm taking it, nuking it. So jump on board if you'd like to, Sauce Man. Also, real quick before we move on, we can talk about the games tonight. This was Sukka's off today, but also he said when we asked him about this in our meeting this morning, he said, "What Buccaneers? They didn't play yesterday." And he's right. Can we all agree that overall ugly right now is just that division as a whole? Like,
barring the Saints, got to give the Saints their credit.
Sure.
Shuck it, man.
I have one minor gripe with this. I love Tyler Shuck. He deserves all the credit he's getting right now. But the fact that Tyler Shuck is now the favorite to win the Rookie of the Year and Cam Ward is still 200-1 is egregiously terrible.
We talked about that last week. If he ended on a win streak, he may snag that. He was like 20-1 or something, right? Maybe more. Shuck.
I just think you got guys like Cam Ward has the same odds as Tyler Warren to win the Rookie of the Year. Like
Cam Ward's not winning games, though. It's, what have you done for me lately? What are you showing me? And it's not wins. And it's not that he's worse off than Tyler Shuck. It's just Shuck's the best story for a rookie at the moment.
It's all about the narrative.
Yeah, and again, Shuck's got a guy like Chris Olave that he gets to throw to. You know what I mean? Olave's first 17-game year. Did you guys see that tweet? Derek Carr retiring saved Chris Olave's life.
You sent that to us,
yeah,
which was totally true. Also, betting his yards yesterday was fun.
Juwan Johnson too cashed on his incentives. Shout out that guy.
I was gonna say too. Speaking of tweets, yeah, Sook didn't like my tweet I sent about the Bucs the other day, and I think that's why V sent his separately as well. So.
Sook's going through it right now with his team. Hey, man, you guys, the Buccaneers still get a chance to make the playoffs if they win against the Carolina Panthers on Sunday, Saturday.
Come on.
It's going to be so funny if they make the playoffs and win a playoff game too. And Sook just out of nowhere is going to be screaming at us.
It's going to be wonderful to watch him dance on our graves if that happens. But I mean, how can you not? The Bucs have been awful the last month. The Panthers haven't been much better.
Do we know who's going there yet? Like, because I know the Packers are locked in at 7. Obviously, the top half of the seeding. But do we know where?
We talked. So this is actually a good transition to talk about the game tonight. So Monday Night Football this evening, Rams taking on the Falcons. The Rams do not get a chance to compete to be the number 1 seed in their division anymore. They also cannot win the division anymore as well with the 49ers winning their game last night. However, If the Rams win tonight and then they win their game next week, they are locked in at the 5 seed, which would mean they would play the winner of the NFC South, being the Bucs or the Panthers. So that means that the Los Angeles Rams would then go and play in one of those places, probably as a favorite on the road. So that's why, one of the reasons why this game does matter for the Rams tonight, not necessarily for positioning in their division, but in mattering for the position of the breakdown of the last 3 wildcard spots.
Real quick, tinfoil hat. Dude, this is going to work out perfectly because either the Rams are going to exact revenge for that ugly loss to Carolina, or it's Baker fucking Mayfield against the team that really gave him second life in the NFL. I mean, I guess maybe 2 drives, but whatever it was, like, you know what I mean?
That was half a game. I mean, got the job done.
They did.
Well, we'll find out. That game is on Saturday between the Panthers and the Bucs. But this game tonight, let's talk about it now. Rams taking on the Falcons. Bijan and company, nothing to play for. Half their bags are packed towards Cancun. However, they're still playing for pride and maybe Raheem Morris's job. We shall see. Rams, as I just mentioned, playing to be the number 5 seed in the NFC playoff picture. On the road in ATL in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 7.5-point favorites are the Los Angeles Rams as we look at it right now. Matthew Stafford and company looking to lock up that 5 spot, and Matthew Stafford looking to – there's a lot on the line, actually, from individual awards perspectives. Matthew Stafford can make an even better statement tonight if he has another big game for the MVP race, which Drake May made his statement yesterday. We'll see if Stafford matches suit. Other point as well, Puka Nacua has an opportunity to further his case for the Offensive Player of the Year award and be the number 1 wide receiver in yards gained, with the last week of the season mattering, maybe not as much for the Rams, but definitely mattering for JSN against the 49ers. So those are kind of some individual aspects of stuff. Danny and I talked about this a lot this morning on Any Given Wager Sauce, man. So I'll let you kind of lead us off here. And you wrote about it at bettingnews.com. You guys go peep his scribbles over there as well. What do you think about this game?
I think it's going to be fun, man. If you look back at Kirk Cousins' games against the Rams, he's had some pretty decent games, not the highest one. The last 2 with the Vikings, 4 touchdowns across the 2 games, over 250 yards in both of those games. And this feels like one of those things. It was like, if you look at his numbers against the Niners, we saw how explosive they were. We saw what they looked like when they played the Niners a couple weeks ago. I think maybe not as similar of a situation, but we're getting a total at 49.5 on prime time with how good this Rams defense is. That to me is saying that the Falcons are going to put up points one way or another. They have Bijan in the backfield. Kyle Pitts is finally kind of having that breakout season. Drake London's back in the lineup, but his connection with Kirk Cousins, I'm a little bit sussed out by. I'm excited for points in this one. I think Matt Stafford's also maybe just got one more shot to add to his MVP resume, because if that is what it's going to be, he might sit out in week 18. And everybody's talking about Drake May. Like, this just feels like the one opportunity if you're Stafford to come in and do this thing. He's got 2 Pro Bowls. He's got 1 Super Bowl. And if you look at his resume, like, just as somebody who hasn't watched him, it might not look as stacked as somebody thinks, because we know Stafford can do. This might just be one of those things that you add to this, and then you go on a deep playoff run where you're kind of going out on top at 37 years old. So I really like everything about this game. I think both teams are going to come to play. And I'll just start off with my first play. I'm going right to him. Matt Stafford, 3+ passing touchdowns at plus 145. This is a line that he's hit in 6 of his last 8 games. This is a line that I know without Devontae Adams is a little bit more sus without that red zone target, but Kobe Parkinson has come alive in the red zone. A guy like, not Ferguson. I forget his first name.
Ferguson
character.
Yeah,
that Ferguson character that Danny hates. Yeah.
He got his first touchdown last week, or second touchdown of the year last week. They're running a lot of bigger sets down in the red zone, and I think that's something the Falcons have had trouble with. If the Falcons aren't getting home with their pass rush, which has been really good this year, they're second in sacks per game. I think they're going to have a tough time in that secondary. And Stafford is second in sack percentage this year, meaning he's just not spending a lot of time on the turf. They've done a great job protecting him. And knowing Sean McVay in this game where you're a 7.5-point favorite on the road, you have a chance to bolster your guy's resume. He loves Stafford as much as fans of Stafford love Stafford. I think he's going to do everything he can to put the ball in his hands and to make sure that his resume comes out looking just that much better than Drake May's at the end of today.
Yeah, V, I tend to agree with you. And that's what I was saying a little bit earlier this morning, was that the Rams, outside of a statistical standpoint, just how much better they are on both sides of the ball in playoff positioning. I think they may keep their foot on the pedal to get themselves feeling better after last week's loss and heading into the end of the season, but also to help Matt Stafford's MVP candidacy. I don't think it's the sole reason as to why you would bet the Rams. The only part I have is I teased them down with SPJ's Titans, who luckily held on, and I just need the Rams to win by more than 2. But I do think it is enough to just assume they're going to still keep their guys out there for a majority of the time. And like you mentioned, this Rams team, you and I have joked about it so many times. When they get in the red zone, they just love to throw it. But that's what ultimately kept me off, because I looked at the same play as you and had the same reasoning. But it's because of the absence of Devontae Adams, and just maybe because the Falcons do struggle more so against the run in general. I don't necessarily know in the red zone, but then they do against the pass. I mean, they're 27th rush success rate, 26 rush EPA. So I could see a scenario where, yeah, maybe Stafford gets 2, but then you also give a couple, say, to try to get Corum or Williams in there. I don't dislike your bet at all, but I just had a couple too many reasons that ultimately kept me off. But the plus money does make it tempting enough to throw a little coin on it.
That's kind of what got me there. You know what I mean? And usually that's not a great reason to get me there, but here I am Monday night plus 145.
All I can say is I hope that 2/all 3 of those touchdowns are to Puka Nacua. That's all I need in that situation, because that's fine. That can hit, because I'm going against Stafford in fantasy, and I have Puka, so please and thank you. We talked about Puka earlier. His lines are incredibly inflated. Probably going to have another spectacular performance on Monday Night Football tonight. As I mentioned, looking to be the Offensive Player of the Year and also possibly pass JSN for the what is not the Triple Crown, but the most wide yards for a wide receiver in the NFL this year. Receiving title. Thank you. I'll talk about my bets real quick, kind of rattle those off, and I'll let Danny take us home on what he has in this game. I have a couple props that I like. I took Tyler Algier over 33.5 rushing and receiving yards in this spot. I get it. Bijan's the guy. He's going to get his most likely. But Algier's been also very good, too. He's hit this line in 4 of his last 5 games. He had 79 yards on the ground against Arizona last week. And, yeah, the Rams are a good rushing defense, but they are 22nd in the NFL to receiving yards allowed. I just think that Algier is going to be enough to get over this 33.5 rushing and receiving yards line. This line just feels way too low, and I don't want to get invested in 115 plus rushing and receiving yards line for Bijan in this spot with a game that really doesn't mean anything for the Falcons. Next one, I'll leave Corum for you, Danny. Danny and I are both on Blake Corum. I'll let him talk about that one. This one is a little bit of an emotional hedge because, again, I need Puka real bad for the championship game. And I think that he goes bananas, but I don't want to bet a guy to have 109 plus receiving yards at a regular line. That's just crazy to me. However, there is another guy in the receiving department for the Rams who had a great game last week and his first time getting any type of action in this offense. No Devontae Adams as well. Give me Kanata Mumfield over 24.5 receiving yards. Talked about it a little bit earlier on any given wager. The receptions is a nice way to take it too. But Mumfield had 3 catches on 8 targets last week. Did not find the end zone. However, his touchdown this week is plus 325. I know that got V's interest because somebody that hadn't scored a touchdown since Nam is plus 325 to score a touchdown. As you guys just said, and when they get into the red zone, Matthew Stafford does like to throw the football. 8 targets for a guy that hasn't played a lot of football last week. He's a guy that they also want to develop in their offense. I did a little bit more research looking into this guy after we got off the show earlier, kind of diving into his involvement with the team. And he's somebody that's been around the team the entire season. They're still trying to develop him, and they finally got a chance to have a big game last week, and he did. Only need 25 yards. I think he could have another 40-yard performance. Don't hate the spot. I think that's also good for the catches, and I might sprinkle on the touchdown for plus 325. But this is my who? Kanata Mumfield over 24.5 receiving yards minus 115.
Yeah, I like this bet a lot, SPJ. I actually did end up throwing just a little bit, like you say, a little coffee money, cup of coffee. I did that with his receptions at plus 145. I think obviously there's a correlation with both of those plays, but I do think that's a good look with him tonight.
Let's go.
All right. This guy too. I thought, the matchup is there, and these rookies, some of these guys that have been coming out, like we saw Luther Burden last night, man. The kid's going to be something, and hopefully he's okay, but the kid's going to be special.
Yeah, I saw your tweet about Luther Burden.
That was before the injury. I know. He made a big play, and I was just being salty on the timeline. That's it.
As per usual. Yeah. Again, if you unless you love Vsauce, you've probably got him muted on Twitter. But it's okay. All right, Danny, take us home, man. What do you like in this game tonight before we talk hoops?
All right, SPJ, myself, Slop, and it seems like some people in the comments are all on the same play here. Blake Corum, over 44.5 rushing yards. He's gone over this mark in 7 out of 15 games this year, but more recently, he's eclipsed it in 6 out of the last 8 games, where he has seen an uptick in his average go from 8 carries to over 9 carries, from 44 rushing yards to now 60, to 5.3 yards a clip, which is already outstanding, to now 5.7. You're going up against a terrible Falcons run defense, 27th in rush success rate, 26th in rush EPA. Even if Kyron is going to still be getting a large part of the handoffs here, which we have seen, Corum has still found a way to get over it, and it's a perfect situation for him to do it once again. The lines haven't adjusted too much. Very favorable matchup, and if they do get out to a bigger lead, you're going to get more action from Corum regardless. So it seems like it's one of those bets, SPJ, that we've had now a couple times where it's like, how does this not hit? And then we get screwed. But if this doesn't hit, I still feel like fine about our handicap in this. If we're wrong, so be it. But to me, this is absolutely the right play.
And as we said earlier with Williams as well, I think him and Corum can both hit their rushing yards line. I think that this is a fine spot for both of them to have success on the ground. Sash, you got anything to add before we jump and talk hoops?
I had a question for Danny, and one play that I am on. But to start with the question for Danny, I know you're on Drake London's under. I was watching AGW earlier. When I looked at the matchups and everything like that, and the way that Drake London has performed against zone coverages both this year and last year, he jumped right off the page. And then I looked at the one game with him and Kirk Cousins, and 8 targets, 3 catches. And if there's something we know about Kirk Cousins, he doesn't do a good job of getting the ball outside the numbers. And I think that's the big issue they run into. It's why he's seen big numbers with a guy like Darnell Mooney. But does the matchup scare you at all with how much he's kind of like thrived against zone defenses, finding those little soft spots?
Yeah, that's a great point. And to be fair, I haven't betted officially, but that was certainly one of my stronger leans. And I guess to me it was, and again, that's a great point and what needs to be noted. But to me, it was more that I think this Rams defense, with how dominant they've been, are going to be able to just clean up whoever they want to, zone in on whoever they want to. They've struggled a little bit more so against tight ends, and we know Kirk's been admiring the hell out of Kyle Pitts, so that could obviously be a big threat. You're going to get some shares to Mooney, some guys out of the backfield, and Robinson, and then obviously Algier. I just think it's going to be a lackadaisical performance all around from the Falcons offensively, which should limit the potential for Drake London, whether it be his receptions at 5.5 or his receiving yards. They haven't had too much chemistry. Do they need it? No, maybe not. Could he get over it with garbage time? Perhaps. It's more so just I think the numbers are a little bit too high with not getting a great idea of how these two are going to perform together. And then especially in prime time against a really top tier defense, I just struggle to have that much conviction in any Falcons players, especially a guy whose numbers not high in general for how he's performed, but just in this given scenario is all. But so that's why I ended up not betting it, but just considering it a strong lean.
Fair enough. Yeah. I was just looking at then Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, just everything you said, his connection, the over 49.5 receiving yards feels good. Little juice at minus 120, but the target share has been there. He's seen over 20% target share in the last 5 games, 30% in almost 30%, 3 of those 5 games. I think it's going to be there. And the one thing is it's not a ton of first read target share, but he is his security blanket again and again. When the first read's been taken away, he is going to Kyle Pitts. When he needs a first down, he's going to Kyle Pitts. And when they get in the red zone, he's usually going to Kyle Pitts. So I took the touchdown and the 49.5 receiving yards.
I love it. We talked about it earlier. I also like the catches 2V, 44.5 for a little juice. That could be a fun parlay piece. Maybe when you cook the parlay, but I'm with you. I'll definitely lean more into the Pitts angle versus London as well. All right. We should see a fun game tonight. Let's swing and talk hoops. Just answer this question from Danny for Danny and me. I like it at up to 50 for Corum. I think that 45.5 is fine.
Yeah, I think 45.5 is fine as well.
Word. All right. Let's talk hoops. I'll let Danny lead us off. He wrote about a lot at bettingnews.com. Some unders for you guys. I'll close this out with some overs. Sauceman might have, I think Sauceman has a couple overs as well for the kiddos. And then we shall cook the parlay and get out of here. So Danny, take it away. What are we looking at on the hoops?
Yeah, I know you're in a hurry here, so I'll try to rifle. I'll start with what's probably my favorite play of the night. Tim Hardaway Jr. under 3.5 3-pointers. This line being at 3.5 is mind-boggling. Now I understand. He's been taking a lot more shots as of late, shot attempts and shots made from 3-point range, and that's where he's going to take a majority of his shots in general. But he's still averaging less than 3 per game and right around there in the month of December. But it's this matchup. You're going down to South Beach. You're going up against a great Miami team in general, top 5 points per possession, effective field goal percentage, but they're also 4th in opponent 3-point field goal percentage. Just seems like this line is very inflated due to recency bias. I think he stays under 3.5 triples tonight. Another under I got Royce O'Neal under 5.5 rebounds, a line that is sparked up a little bit as well. Because of this matchup against the Wizards, you're assuming a lot of missed shots, thus leading to more rebounds. I get it, but he's still averaging just 4.4 rebounds in the month of December. He stayed under 5.5 in 8 out of his last 10 games. I don't necessarily buy into a bad team. You just automatically spike this guy's rebounds up. If it's a big man, different conversation, but not when it's not a primary rebounder. So I like O'Neal under 5.5 boards. My over, ladies and gentlemen who love the overs, Pascal Siakam over 5.5 boards. Love that this was a plus price. Kind of going with what I was just saying, that I would only bet it, a little bit of a different number if it's a big man. And I know Siakam's not the biggest rebounder considering his size, but he's going to have to be in this spot against Houston, who does boast the best rebounding percentage in the NBA, but that's giving us a better price than what we would normally have with Pascal Siakam. He's still averaging 6 per contest. He's gone over this 6.5 rebounds in 7 out of the last 12 games. I know it's more of a random stat, but this feels more like a buy low spot on Siakam, who needs to be active down low against the Rockets. And then Toumani Camara under 2.5 3-pointers. Took this the other week, taking it again. He's increased his 3-point percentage each of the past month. It's slowly, incrementally improving. But in this matchup tonight, I just don't think it's going to be that good. I've been loving to fade players when they face the Dallas Mavericks because they are one of, if not the best 3-point defense in the NBA. They're first in opponent 3-point percentage and second in 3-point shot rate allowed. So take the under at -121 with Camara tonight.
Nice. It's funny. When I actually typed Royce O'Neal, I put over just because I'm so used to doing O's and not U's. I don't even know where the U is on my. Yeah, I don't even know where the U is on my keyboard. All right, man. There's some unders for you guys. I'll rattle off my overs real quick, and then Sauce Man can take us home. I'm on Tim Hardaway Jr. However, I took his points over 15.5.
Dude, you hate me.
Minus. He's been really great in the starting lineup. I just think it's a matchup where he can score. He's actually been scoring a lot more from inside the arc, so I don't mind. The under threes can hit as long as he hits 16 points, but not one of my favorites. I just wanted to throw it out there that I am on his over points there. So next up for me, probably my favorite on the entire slate tonight, Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man, over 40.5 PRA against your Bulls tonight, Danny. And as you know, against the Chicago Bulls, Ant-Man loves to pull out the belt against this team. I'm not going to read off a bunch of stats because I don't have a bunch of time left, but I just think that Ant-Man's going to have a massive night tonight. I also really like his 3-point prop at plus money over 3.5. He's hit 5 and 6 3-pointers in his last 2 games against the Chicago Bulls. Would not be surprised if we look up and Ant-Man scores 40 points against. It's also in Chicago, and he loves playing in Chicago as well. Next one, Stephon Castle, over 6.5 assists. The Spurs tonight are taking on, who are the Spurs playing? I just had it, and I just went away from that. Against the Cavs. Should be a good game tonight against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I love the 6.5 line. I think he can flirt with a double-double. He had a double-double the last time he played against the Cavs. He also had 8 assists the game prior to that, and he's been hitting 7 consistently. De'Aaron Fox is questionable in this game, too. I think Fox is going to play. Wemby being back in the starting lineup doesn't really have me concerned too much there as well. Give me Castle over 6.5 assists. And then last one, actually, I'll just save that one for the timeline, but I don't really understand this line. I locked this in before we got started. I wanted to ask you guys about this. Bobby Portis, over 17.5 points and rebounds. Bucks taking on the Charlotte Hornets tonight. Giannis is back, so there's that, right? Bobby Portis has had a double-double in 4 of his last 5 games. Double-digit rebounds, scoring 15-plus points. What is this line? I mean, I don't understand why at 17.5. The double-double is like almost 6-1. Hornets aren't great defensively. I know. I think Kalkbrenner is back, so maybe that is the reason. But no, he's not back. Okay, nope. I don't understand this line. I'm going to take it. I'm going to keep taking it. I've been kind of betting in my own little corner over the last few games. Portis has been really good. He's taking 15 plus shots a game. He's only playing 20 to 25 minutes. Even that Giannis has returned now. He's out there in that second unit. Set it, forget it. Not overthinking it. Give me old, as Danny knows, old Big Dick Bobby to get the job done for 17.5 points and rebounds.
Here's a funny short story. One time my buddy was at a party that Bobby Portis was at. He tried to take a selfie with him, and Portis grabbed his phone, threw it down at the club because he didn't want the picture of him with bottles. And then, but then they ended up becoming friends because Bobby apologized, and then he brought him to a game because my buddy was living out in Denver. So good guy Bobby. Just one of those things where he's like, I can't have this, and he's like, yo, my bad, I overreacted. And so, give him the benefit of the doubt. There's my short story of Bobby Portis.
Good guy, Bobby Portis.
That's dope. That makes me feel even better about betting tonight. Let's go. All right. Well, there's some overs for you guys. Sauce Man, take us home. What do you like in the NBA? And then we'll cook.
Real quick, Jokic over 11.5 assists. Miami's pace is just way too high for me to ignore this line. Jokic is a guy's PRA is sitting, I think, in the high 50s. I think the RA is 24.5. So I'm just taking the assists at 11.5. It's a line he's hit consistently against Miami. It's a line he's hit consistently over the last few games, averaging nearly 19 potential assists per game. The rebounding numbers have taken a little bit of a decline with Peyton Watson in the starting lineup over guys like Christian Braun and Aaron Gordon. For that reason, I just think that the assists is where I'm going to go here. And then after that, Jalen Brunson over 2.5 threes. Now, this isn't a line that I bet a lot. This isn't even a player that I bet a ton. Points line sitting at 29.5. Books think he's going to score. And he's going up against a Pelicans perimeter defense that has just been one of the worst in the league this year at over 2.5 for -120. I like that a lot. And he's also hit that line in both of his last games. And he's taken 12, 12, and 11 over his last 3 game and 3-point attempts. Lastly, LaMelo Ball over 33.5 PRA. I still think that maybe books think he's not playing games or he's on a little bit of a minutes restriction. I don't think that's so much the case. They've won 4 of their last 6 games with LaMelo Ball in the lineup. The Hornets are kind of feeling good. I think the vibes are a little bit high. Now they're playing the Bucks, a team that LaMelo's thrived against. He had 50 points the last time out against this team. And I just don't think they have the guys on the perimeter to keep up with him. So LaMelo Ball, 33.5 PRA. He's also had 10 and I think 9 assists in those 2 games prior. So, yeah, those are my 3 plays.
Love it.
No grand slam tonight?
Pancake. You want to eat some pancakes, Danny?
I want some flapjacks.
You want some flapjacks, baby? I looked at it, of course. I
thought you tweeted something about it, so I was expecting a play.
So the thing is I can't just pitch the chat every single time I get on the show that I'm betting Denny Advia. I'm probably betting Denny Advia, but I like his RA a little better than the PRA. But the reason why I retweeted it was because he's 7th in All-Star voting in the West, which I thought was 7th, dude. 7th. It was crazy. He has more votes than like a bunch of dudes on there. It's a crazy list. But yeah, I'm always down for some hot pancakes, baby.
I mean, after the votes come out, you got to think he's feeling nice, right? Might be a nice time to take him.
It should be a fun game. It's on Peacock late night against the Mavs. So, and this will be another big opportunity for him to showcase. But all right, let's cook. And then I got to do it. I'm going to cook with you guys so I can know the lay. And then I'll let you guys close the show without me because I got to get out of here and get to my flight. Where do I want to start?
Welcome to the chat. We totally weren't talking about you or your Bucks earlier, so you didn't make anything earlier in this show.
Yeah.
He was probably sitting in the shadows, hate watching it.
Now he's pretending that he's just getting here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Should we start with Mumfeld?
Oh, you want to put Mumfeld in here?
Dude, is he in the AGW parlay?
No, it was funny when we were talking about him. I was almost going to say we should add him in the parlay. And now that you have bet him officially, I feel better about it. So I'm cool.
All right. Kanata, baby. Kanata, you're in. All right. Kanata, Mumfeld. I really like the Pitts catches angle. Can we put Pitts in here?
I am down with that. Yep.
Are you good with that, Danny?
Did you bet his receiving yards or receptions?
I bet the receiving yards. 49.5, just because like he has a guy where like 10, 12 yard plays are definitely within his wheelhouse.
I kind of lean a little more towards yards, but if you like his receptions a lot, SPJ, that's fine with me too.
Let's do the yards.
Let's take the yards. V's on the yards. You like the yards? I like
those.
Both,
you kind of like his yak that he's been getting.
Mm-hmm.
Yak. Also, that's good because neither one of those guys help anybody in fantasy that I'm playing against, so that's great.
You're throwing Quorum?
Or are we going to do all?
Are we doing at this point?
Where we both got him straight. Slops on him. Let's Quorum cash us out straight. That's 2. Let's do 2 football, 2 basketball.
Okay.
Which under do you like the best?
It's like you're not gonna let me bet Tim Hardaway. I know that.
I don't hate that one. If you want to do the under threes,
all right. I'll let you guys decide. Kamara under 2.5 or O'Neal under 5.5. I guess I would lean Kamara just because rebounds can be a bit lucky and random. That's the only difference. But how do you guys feel?
Tumani under 3s.
Yeah, I can get down 20 under 3s.
He does go through stretches where he just forgets how to shoot the basketball. Under 2.5 for Tumani. And then which over? Of all the ones we said, Danny, which one did you like the best?
Bobby Portis? You seem pretty confident about that one.
Big Bobby.
I mean, your buddy knows him.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
dude, the thing was, and then he invited him to a Halloween party too, and I could have went, but this is when I was living in Vegas or Nebraska, one of the two. So I could have been partying with Portis, and I blew it. But in honor of him, maybe we had him in the parlay.
We got him. He's in the lane now. Plus 880. Wow, this is a crazy parlay, man. Kanata Mumfeld, 24 plus receiving yards. Kyle Pitts, 50 plus receiving yards. Tumani Kamara, under 2.5 threes. Bobby Portis, over 17.5 points and rebounds.
You're going to get the notification from the app saying, you've logged too much time. You've deposited X amount. What are we doing here?
What do we do? This is better when we, sometimes I can't find the button on my book, All right, there you go. Plus 880. That's the Betspresso 4. Big vibes. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. I'll let you guys close out the show with the kids. Chat, thanks for tuning in for your Betspresso. Enjoy the last little bit with Danny and Sauceman. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Boys, have a great rest of your show.
Travel safe, brother.
Thanks, guys. Laters.
All right. Now, everybody tell me everything you hate about SPJ.
Now's the time to unleash.
That's my favorite joke to crack when somebody leaves the room. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, before we wrap it up, I don't know if there's much more you want to talk about. I kind of had a couple questions for you from a futures perspective, but I don't know if you wanted to focus anything more on tonight specifically.
No, absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. When looking at the MVP right now, because we were talking about it a little bit, Adam obviously being a Patriots fan, Drake May fan, you and I hinted at it. Perhaps they pad Matt Stafford's stats a little bit tonight to kind of help him in that discussion. How do you see this going down? Is there value in betting it right now with Drake May if you can still get plus money? I think he's still plus money at some books, if I'm not mistaken. Is it worth a play on Drake May at this moment? If you think, let's say Stafford gets 2 touchdowns, throws for like 250, they win in a normal sense. So it's like a pretty good game, but not an incredible game.
Man, I think like today's game obviously will have a lot of onus on how this goes down. But I think to me, how can you win the MVP if you don't win your division? Mm-hmm. That's the biggest knock on Matt Stafford, but also at the same time, 40 touchdowns. And if that even is 42 touchdowns before the end of the year, he leads the league in most of these stats. He's like top 5 in pass yards, number 1 in passing touchdowns, completion rate over expectation. He's pretty far up there. All the metrics are there, but Drake May's right there too. Yes, some fewer passing touchdowns, but I don't know how. To me, it all comes down to how much are you going to weigh strength of schedule, right? With Drake May versus not winning your division, especially if they end up as a 3rd team in their division. Then what happens?
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. That's really the detriment to the Rams here. And then if the Rams are going to play their starters next week, you're going to get better numbers from Stafford. The Patriots don't need to because the Broncos are going to win knowing the Chargers are resting their starters. So wouldn't there be a scenario too where New England sits out Drake May? So that's also a potential factor.
Yeah, it is tough. I didn't even think of that. Actually, I think you're right because the Chargers have already said they're sitting their starters in week 18. If that's the case, that means the Broncos are going to move on. And I think the rest is big too. Like I know the Bears are going to probably play their starters. There's been some commentary around it. I think that's just fans saying, "Oh no, we should rest our starters." You not when it's a game you need to win for seeding, right? You can't quit like that. Not with a guy like Ben Johnson leading your fucking locker room. He doesn't allow for that kind of shit. How do you feel about that? Like I know a lot of Bears fans are saying we want the Packers, but is there no part of you watching your offense kind of thrive against the Niners yesterday to think that you guys could probably beat that team?
So this is where I was going to ask you next. And I love that chat was saying it. No, and it's us too. And I think the Bears absolutely should and need to play their starters. And it did look like Ben Johnson made some comments that they're going to go out there and win, because even outside of the potential matchup with the Packers, you should be vying for that second spot for the home field advantage in general. And I think just the message that you want to send, you can't go out there playing hesitantly and, trying to nitpick who you play. And it's not a diss to the Packers by any stretch, because I was talking about it with some friends. I think the matchup for the Bears is better against the Packers than it would be against an NFC West team. But you're more scared to face the Packers in the sense of the story surrounding it and just dealing with Packers fans and everything if you happen to lose that game. But based on your guys' injuries and the weakness of the run defense that we were just talking about, I think it sets up nicely for the Bears, or better for the Bears, I would say. The other side of it's like, well, if you get the 49ers, you get Brock Purdy in the cold or Sam Darnold in the cold. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to face the Rams. I think out of those three teams, I'd want to see the Seahawks just because we've seen Darnold kind of crumble a little bit last year at the end of the year. It's kind of happening a little bit now too. I know they're still winning, but you've still seen a lot of flashes of Sam Darnold not being as consistent as he once was. But at the end of the day, I think getting the Packers is the best option for Chicago. Whoever they get, it's not going to be easy. We know this throughout the NFC, outside of the NFC South. No offense, Sook, but I think that's what it's got to be. How do you feel about it from a Packer if you had to choose? I mean, I'm sure you would want the Bears. Let's be honest. The Bears, I don't think they're necessarily frauds. I think it's just they obviously have a glaring weakness, which has been and is their defense. And the Packers have torched it with Malik Willis, torched it with Jordan Love until the Bears finally stepped up. They also had a very fortunate strip of Josh Jacobs, which they've done all year, but like to bank on that happening again and to keep that luck going just seems unlikely. So if I were you, I would think you would want to see the Bears.
I do. And yes, like I think that fact that the divisional game, it just leaves way more questions up in the air. And I think that kind of stuff usually favors the dog in a situation like that, just because, and it usually favors the team not coming off of a loss, just because of how we know divisional games can be.
Yeah.
I also do think that if I was to, like, not even just the Bears, the Niners, the lack of pass rush is what's glaring to me. And if I'm looking at my QB and how he's been when kept clean in the pocket, he's absolutely thrived. And I think both Caleb Williams and Brock Purdy did the exact same thing last week. But I also think that we've seen Caleb Williams thrive against good pass rushes. And I think that's why maybe from a Rams or Eagles perspective, those teams you might have a little bit of trouble with. Yeah. But that's also why I thought the offense was so good against the Niners, not to take anything away. But that game was a lot of fun because both defenses are really, really fucking bad.
For sure.
Like you can't have 80 points scored in a singular game. And we leave that game thinking that, hey, these teams are really, really good because the defense is big play after big play. Every time that Caleb Williams had a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, it was Luther Burden for 16 yards. And how does that happen? It's because he has 7 to 8 seconds in the pocket.
Yep.
But the same thing happened on the other side. You can't give Brock Purdy that kind of time because he's going to make you pay for it. Where you look at a Carolina game where he had 3 interceptions in that first half, I do think that the lack of pass rush is what's going to be a determining factor. As a Packers fan with all the injuries, I don't even know if we have a pass rush either. So I'm not going to – I just – going off of what happened 2 weeks ago and the way that they were able to cause a little bit of ruckus in that backfield for the Bears definitely makes me want to see the Bears in that first-round wild card. So make sure you guys do your job in Detroit. That's all I need from y'all. Just do your job in Detroit.
Yeah, that line's sitting at 2.5. And I think that still obviously was and is with the assumption the Bears are going to be playing their guys. Yeah, I mean, look, I just think it would be really terrifying. It's going to be terrifying regardless for the Bears, but to go up against these NFC West teams, pardon me, because of the potential they have on that offensive side of the ball. And look, if Micah Parsons was in the mix, perhaps we'd be having a much different conversation. But given that he's out, you at least have an idea of what the Bears can do against this Packers defense, giving Caleb more time. And then defensively, the Bears did come alive and make the necessary stops against the Packers. So we know they can do it. I don't know if they can do it against any of these NFC West teams. That's the big difference right there. So I don't know, man. It's going to be crazy to see how that game plays out against Detroit. Goff doesn't do that well in the cold, struggles at Soldier Field late in the year. They obviously want to play spoiler to some degree, but you're not really spoiling too much. And I think from a Detroit Lions perspective, they also may just be a completely depleted team, not to the degree of the Chiefs, but in the sense of obviously the playoffs were the goal. The Super Bowl is the ultimate goal. You didn't get that. And not even that. It's just you lost it in such a gruesome way, embarrassing way that now these players who are kind of, making remarks here and there, doing something. I think they're just say, screw this. Like, I don't think they're going to go out there and not try, but I don't see a scenario where the Lions are treating this as a Super Bowl. Hey, let's go screw someone else over. So if it's still under 3, I do like the Bears in this game.
The one thing I would say about that is Goff has struggled against pressure. That's exactly what we've seen. We saw it in 2 games against Minnesota. We've seen it all year. When a team is going to get pressure on Goff, he's not comfortable and he's not going to be able to make the right play. I don't know if Chicago has that. I think the weather aspect is definitely going to work in their favor. But if Goff's able to sit back there and watch these routes develop, especially with a guy like Jamo, he's kind of come alive over the last 5-6 weeks and, playing a lot better. I don't know what's going to happen. I think the Bears should definitely be trying to win this one, but I'm afraid of that defense. If I'm being completely honest, over the last couple of weeks, they just haven't shown that they can get stops when they need stops. And I know that maybe at the end of that Packers game, but when Jordan Love was out there, both of his drives that he stayed out there fully ended up with goal to go. I think that was a similar situation with what we saw with Brock Purdy last week. And that's something the Bears are going to have to get right. You cannot be letting the other team forget about goal to go in your end that many times.
Well, we're also getting some comments in the chat naturally about the NFC South matchup. We got our resident Panthers fan Garrett, and then we got Sook there. The battle of the Bads. NFC South, you and I will not be talking again until after this week. I certainly don't know if you have any plays in this game or elsewhere. I don't yet. I want to say and lean toward Tampa Bay, but with the spread at 3, it is not worth betting it whatsoever. I think based on pure numbers, taking the points with the Panthers makes a lot of sense. I said it last time they met. Whoever is an underdog, I think you're completely safe teasing them up, catching over 7 points, because whoever wins, it shouldn't be by margin. We've seen that in many games with them in general, but then we saw it with them two against each other. Now you have a playoff type of atmosphere. Do you have a strong inkling for this game? Again, the Bucs should be the better team, but it's just they're so much better at shooting themselves in the foot. I just think the Panthers are like talent. They're less talented, but they're a bit more composed. They're a bit more organized, if that makes sense. The Bucs have more talent, but they just keep digging that hole for themselves.
I completely agree. I think this is one of those situations where, like Sug said it, he thinks that Bowles has lost the room, right? Once you've lost the locker room, it's really tough to come back from. And that's when things like resolve and things like that come into play. We haven't seen that from the Bucs over the last few weeks. Baker Mayfield hasn't looked good over the last few weeks. And I get it, no Mike Evans, but you still have a lot of talent in that wide receiver room, and guys like Emeka Egbuka, a guy like Chris Godwin. I just don't see it from him I don't like it. And I think Dave Canales is a guy who has shown poise on the sidelines. He's shown that he can get his guys ready for game day. And if this is what the Bucs need to kind of make the coaching switch, then maybe it's coming a little bit sooner than Sook would like it.
Yeah, so you're saying Sook's he's a fan of Todd Bowles?
No, not right now. I just mean that nobody wants to see their team miss the playoffs and have to fire their coach.
Fair enough. And it's kind of another thing too. If you look at these losses from Tampa Bay, and I thought it was going to be different in the sense of how this player performed, but it seems to be there is a connection with Bucky Irving's performance and this Bucs team with Baker's lack of dominance in the air. Bucky just had 9 carries for 19 yards against a lowly Miami defense. In a loss against Carolina, 19 for 71, which doesn't seem bad, but it was just at 3.7 yards a clip. Against Atlanta, 16 for 60, 3.8 yards a clip. They lost. Saints, 55 yards on 15 attempts, 3.7 yards a clip. They lost. If Bucky Irving can't run the way we saw toward the end of last year in their wins this season, I think that's a big difference, which seems weird to say because you have 3 solid backs that they present and you have all those receiving weapons. But when you can't get that efficiency locked down, then that's when all the pressure comes on Baker Mayfield. And that's when seemingly they've crumbled as of late. So that's kind of just a thing that stood out to me, especially last week, that maybe isn't getting talked about as much, but that run game has just been really bad. And I know Wirfs was injured. Don't know how long he's out for. Certainly that's a big element to it as well. But that's going to be a big difference in this upcoming game.
I completely agree. And I was thinking this when I was watching that game the other day. I was like, yesterday, it looks like Bucky's not as elusive. And I know that he's been dealing with an injury all season, and that's probably what it is. But because of that, it's just led to this offense becoming a little bit one-dimensional. When Sean Tucker's out there, Rachaad White's out there, it's like the ball's coming right up the middle. And Bucky's elusiveness that has gotten him in that speed, that getaway speed that we saw through the first few weeks before he got hurt, hasn't seemed like it's there. And because of that, the offense and the has looked discombobulated. You need a run game for a Todd Bowles offense, I think, to really kind of thrive. And without it, Baker's just hasn't looked the same.
No question. Garrett, you're the man. I love chopping it up with you there in the comments. Look, if your team was better, we'd be having different conversations. Look, I know my team has the red flags. I get it. Defense is terrible, still leading the league in turnover margin, still have a prolific offense from time to time. So I at least have that going for me with the Bears. But it may be detrimental if and when the Bears do face these Packers, and that's going to be tough because I'm already bracing mentally for how devastating that's going to be if it comes to fruition.
You guys are overperforming, and I don't want to say it, and I hope nobody in chat anymore can hear me say it, but you guys have overperformed, and you got to be happy about the direction this team is going in.
That's what I keep reminding myself. It's like they were never supposed to even sniff this. I didn't have any close expectations for if they got 9 wins, that was winning the Super Bowl for them this season, in my estimation, heading into this year. The fact that we can be disappointed about them not getting the 1 seed is ridiculous. So that's what I have to keep reminding myself heading into the postseason as well.
Yeah.
Only way to go about it.
Ben Johnson I got to give the guy his flowers. He has completely changed this team, the culture, everything about it. DJ Moore's body language, I would say, is one of the biggest differences last year to this year. And I know his numbers still aren't reflective of a big year, but his body language has completely changed. He's bought in, and he's looking to just win some games because winning solves so many problems, Danny. You know that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it'll be exciting heading into the final week and then into the postseason. You got anything else for you, or should we wrap this bad boy up?
I think that's good, Danny. I'm excited to chop it up with you after week 18 so we can go through the final of the good, bad, the ugly for the week 18 and see how every team ends up. It's going to be a fun week 18. I will say it's been a long time since we've had as competitive of a week 18 like this one. You know what I mean? Usually it's backups and we're all looking for angles to bet through incentives. Instead, the incentive is make the fucking yoffs. It's right there.
Yeah, that's for sure. You're right. Sometimes we get stinkers. We got at least a handful of games with a ton on the line. We know the incentives for player props. That's obviously already baked in and people are looking for that. But you've got some teams who missed the playoffs who are still fighting to be competitive. So we'll definitely be a good week 18. Cannot wait, like you said, to talk about it with you next week. Good, bad, and ugly. Recapping, looking forward to the playoffs, and much more. But with that, we might as well wrap it up. For V at VSauce with 3 A's is where you can follow him on X, myself at Danny Burke 5, at Your Betting News for the Betting News Network. Appreciate everybody chiming in, tuning in, and hopefully we can cash some winners with you, not only on the gridiron, but also on the hardwood and with our SGP. For V, for SGP, SPJ, I was thinking SGP now. So now we're all over the place. For Sweatpants Jesus, for myself, Danny Burke, for everybody here at Betting News, thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy the game. Best of luck. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
What you know about rolling down in the